Welcome back to the Pint-Sized Biker. Today I'm at Bembridge Motors on the Isle of Wight, which is a Royal Enfield dealership, as well as selling things like power boats and accessories and all that kind of thing. But primarily from motorcycling point of view and from the channel's point of view, they are a Royal Enfield dealership. Today I've got the Guerrilla, and we'll get to that in a second. But shout out to Andy and the guys here. Give them a look. It's in a really perfect point on the island for if you want to come for a test ride, you come over for the day. You can take a bike out and some really good roads that either take you to Sandown or you can go back to Newport. Really great location. They're really friendly and they've got the whole range of Royal Enfields and they've got plenty of the demos for sale. So give their website a look. They've got them all on there, like low mileage, great deals, get yourself a bargain over a new bike. And as I'm sure you're aware, if you're already looking at this video, that the Royal Enfield bikes are a great price anyway in comparison to other brands, so you can save yourself even more versus the bikes that, you know, if you went to another dealership or you're buying them elsewhere. So come down here, get yourself out on a demo, and you never know, you might want to buy that demo. But today I've got the Guerrilla, and I've been keen to ride this since it first come out, kind of like the middle of last year, towards the end of last year, to see what it's like, especially in comparison to the Triumph Speed 400. I'll do a separate video of what I think comparing them to the two. So this one will focus on this bike. So it comes in multiple colours. You can get like a monotone silver one, which is the standard one, which starts at 4,800. This one's around about £5 grand. So it's a little bit cheaper than the Speed 400, and it comes in this kind of two-tone. I've heard said that this colour scheme and the blue and white one is 70s and 80s inspired. I would say, I see what people are saying, because it's a bit like the liquid cooled RD400 in a way, but I would say it's more 90s inspired. I look at that tank and I look at this purple with the black and the yellow, and it instantly makes me think of Saved by the Bell from the 90s. So to me it's a much more 90s style, especially with the black wheels and the the purple wheel trim. So I think it's more 90s inspired, which I suppose now is retro. In my head it's not retro, it doesn't feel like that long ago. So yeah, it comes in blue and white, yellow and black. There's a really cool, which does look a bit like the LC, red and black one. That's quite neat. There's one in the showroom. I'll get a shot of that there. So it's quite a cool looking bike. It's relatively retro in its layout, so you've got a round headlight, and you've got, you know, like it's not covered in plastic and fairing. The tank's metal, which is quite nice, 11-litre tank. The engine, brand new engine. Well, I say brand new, it's from the Himalayan, but brand new if you compare it to other Royal Enfields. It's a bit out of Enfield's normal kind of go-to, with like the air cooled that you get in the 350 Classic, or, you know, the Bullets, the Interceptors and the likes. Single cylinder, 450cc, 40 brake horsepower. So that's quite a lot of power out of a single cylinder, but very similar to what the Speed Twin 400 is. So I'm fascinated to see the difference on the road, or the similarities and difference on the road. Seat height, which I know is crucial. And thank you to Tim, who sent the question is, what's this bike like for short asses like ourselves? Well, let's find out, shall we? So 780mm, as I say, and I can get 1 foot comfortably on the ground. I'm 5'3", but I do have my other foot on the foot peg. Obviously, my hand on the brake to hold the bike in place. Though the seat height is quite low, it doesn't feel as low as you'd think it would be at 780mm. And I remember that when I sat on this just before Christmas when I was passing. So I would say if you are a bit worried, come and sit on it. That's always the best way to find out how something feels. I suspect if there was another seat, and I can see there are other seats online as accessories, that was just ever so slightly narrower here, that would make the world of difference regarding getting your feet on the ground. So you could either trim the foam or get perhaps some professional to trim the foam, or have a look at the aftermarket seats, because there's an urban comfort seat which looks a bit flatter, but it doesn't say anything in the description if it is flatter. If you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're a bit taller, there is a seat you can get for this that adds 22 millimeters. And if you are thinking it's a bit cramped, that probably lifts you up just a bit and would give you a bit more height for to be more comfortable. Obviously, I don't have that problem. I'm the other way. Other bits to note before we get out on the road. You've got a TFT screen on there. That's quite a big screen. And when you start it up, you get quite a cool looking display. That's quite neat. And you can connect your phone to this to do like a sat nav and all that kind of stuff. I haven't done that for this ride because I don't have it for too long. But that's quite cool, that's quite handy. I would say I would rather that in the center rather than it being offset. And I know from doing the 1200 Triumph video last month, I'm not the only person that thinks that. I thought that was just me that didn't like dials that are to one side, but it seems to be the way that they do it. Don't ask me why. Put it in the center, be much easier. Everything else looks relatively standard Enfield, very similar to some of the other models in terms of the switch gear. Not the most high-tech switch gear on there, but then the price of it is considerably cheaper than many other bikes, so it doesn't feel bad or look bad. It just isn't quite as flush as some other models or some other brand, should I say, but it all works. That's the most important thing. Should we start it up? It says. There we go. Give it a second to warm up. You can hear like the automatic choke kicking because it started off quite low revs and now it's ticking over at just over 2,000 RPM. Hopefully you can hear that. It's got quite a nice rumble from that exhaust. Not the prettiest looking exhaust known to man, but it's, you know, it's that urban-y style. It's almost so I'm not shouting over the bike. It's almost quite a scrambly style in terms of its layout. So you get that. It's not to my tastes. Monoshock in there, so you've not got two shocks to adjust, just the one. Quite thick forks at the front there for quite a small bike. So I suspect it'll ride the bumps reasonably well, but I'll find out in a minute. Single disc brakes, twin pot caliper at the front, ABS as expected in any brand new motorcycle, oil cooled with a radiator there. You might want to, especially if you're commuting and there's perhaps a chance of it being toppled over and all that kind of stuff, add some engine bars, which I'm pretty certain must be available by now because you think they'd connect to the engine bolts. Tyres, Keat, never heard of them, but we'll find out in a minute what they're like. Yeah, nice looking bike. Petrol tank offset, but that's, you know, it's not really a big deal. They say 80 miles per gallon, or 83, I think, 83.4 from what I read online. I suspect I won't get a chance to truly test that out today, but I mean, it's great economy for any vehicle. One thing that I'm not a huge fan of is there's no brake light at the back. So you press the brake and it's all part of the indicators. Not for me. I think that could be confusing to drivers, and having been hit from behind twice when riding in my 25 years of motorcycling, don't overcomplicate it. Stick a brake light on the back as far as I'm concerned. Aside from that, oh, good grab handles there for the pillion. Metal pillion pegs, again, I'd pick rubber all day long, but I suspect most people won't be using this for regular pillion riding. But I'm sure you could change it if you didn't like it. They're probably perfectly sufficient for the general usage that this bike will get. So let's give it a ride. And I have to say, I have a problem with this bike.